of $572,717 to be adjusted. And then if you go to the next page, we did an analysis of high school attendance and tuition over a period of time. And did that analysis in a number of different ways. And we would suggest to you that you could, if you go 2/3 of the way down the page, you see for fiscal 12-13, budgeted 575 students, you with me? 92%, which is our, was it 5-year average we did, Karen?
Yes.
5-year average is 92% of the youngsters that are eligible to attend high school attend. We budget for 100%. We had 1 year it was 101%, but the 5-year average is 92. If we assume that our future will be the same as our history, and we budgeted for 92% of the eligible kids, that results in a reduction in high school tuition of $475,335. So we have a balance to be identified of $572,717. If we make an adjustment to high school tuition of $475,335, based upon an assumption that no more than 92% of the eligible students will attend, that leaves us a shortfall of $97,382 that has to be addressed.
That's better than $1 million.
Yeah, isn't it?
Have you addressed that yet?
No, I have not addressed it, but if I were addressing it, I would address it by pre-purchasing materials out of fund balance.
Repurchasing materials out of what?
Fund balance, surplus at the end of the year.
Right.
I'd identify $97,382 worth of supplies and materials that can be purchased and delivered this year, and cut them out of next year's budget when the budget is balanced.
Do we have an estimate of fund balance?
I do not.
It looks like it'll be around $750,000, $800,000 at this point in time, given what we know.
The only soft spot there is, I told you it would be easy, but it's chancing. High school tuition is based upon some assumptions that may or may not be come to fruition. That's, it balances out.
Have you looked at pre-purchases yet?
No.
I'm just wondering if you had an idea of how much you could pre-purchase. Not that we're going to, but for discussion purposes. If we pre-purchased, let's say, as much as we could, how much could we pre-purchase? And stay within the guidelines. I know we've talked about the guidelines too. There are guidelines for what we can, we can't.
That can make up some of the tuition, I mean, some of the, yeah, in case.
In case we hit a
Right.
101% on our high school tuition, which, you know.
So is it that we're limited to supplies? Is that what the, because we can't do contractual service, we can't pre-buy contractual service.
No.
Right. Well, I'm opposed to fund balance spending anyway. I think I've pretty much been on the record about that. And I think I applaud the superintendent for coming up with the idea, but I think it takes from one and puts in the other. And on the record is saying that all that money that's not spent should go back to the taxpayers. And so I wouldn't support it.
No, I think I understand what you're saying, but I think we need to at least look at it as part of the process. So I'd like to get an idea of what we could. I know in the past what's our recent history with pre-purchasing, just dollar-wise? I don't mean that we have the same items to pre-purchase this year.
We did quite a bit last year because of the New Hampshire retirement regulations. I don't have the number off the top of my head. I apologize, and I didn't look that up before the meeting. So
You don't remember?
No.
No, it's okay.
But it was pretty significant, what we did for this year's budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of spending a lot of the fund balance, but I think to balance this budget, it's really a small amount. That's what we're talking. Not if we go, like you said, to as much as we can, but if we did 97,000 out of the 700,000 or 800,000 we're gonna have, I don't think I'd have a problem with that to balance this budget. It's kind of what we've done in the past, I think. Not that it's right, but I mean, maybe we can catch up to that at some point, but I think it's a small amount.
Yeah, I mean, we could get into the fund balance discussion where I was headed, and I'm just throwing out a number. We're trying to make up, well, at least with the current calculations, $97,000. So let's say we had 300,000 that met the criteria for pre-purchase. Then we have that information that we can say, all right, do we want to do it? And if we want to do it, how much do we want to do? That's why I want to know. I mean, this is, I guess, gathering information right now, but we have to gather quickly.
Well, the question for you, Dana, when you say how much, are you talking about more than 97,000? Or
And I say that because of the unknown with the high school tuition. I don't, I think the superintendent's, analysis is got a good backbone to it, but.
I think we need to consider that this year we're looking at a $700,000 or $800,000 fund balance. Is there any reason to think that we're not going to be looking at something similar in this 12-13 budget?
Yes,
Yes.
sorry.
Well, and that
Oh,
goes-
no, I mean,
Well, we've typically had a not to exceed number for our health insurance amount, and then we have an adjustment in May.
And that for 12-13, budgeted for 575 students. If you base it on 92%, which it's averaged over the past 4 or 5 years, that brings us to 529, saving us 475,335, leaving us a balance of a little over $97,000 shortfall. So we're discussing a number of ways to get there. Karen said that she's estimating they'll save between $700,000 and $800,000 for current budget year fund balance. And I don't want to speak for David. David stated that he would not support using fund balance. Dave, you can add to that as you
That's accurate.
wish. And here we are. What we've got is a deadline for staff nominations. If we need to have, obviously, we have to have a budget in place before we know how many staff we're going to have. And if we do not act on staff nominations, contractually, staff is renominated on the 15th if we've done nothing. Now, we've always done, at least in my history with the board, we've always done something. We've nominated staff and we've moved forward and met the time frame. So,
And I think that's imperative that we do that this year, because they're watching us.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
very concerned about their jobs and what does it look like with $1 million shortfall.
Yeah,
Because they don't see, staff does not see that it's really 97,382. The buzzword is, you're $1 million. Where's it coming from?
Yeah.
How does that affect how I teach kids every day?
I don't
And I don't think
blame
anyone
anyone.
needs to worry about their job any longer than they need to.
Yep. So anyway, that was a very, very quick overview of what
Thank
we've
you.
been talking about. So time, as it usually is, time is an issue with us. Mike?
I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to accept the superintendent's reconciliation to the approved budget by funding 92% of the tuition fund and by pre-buying less than 100,000 of supplies. So it wouldn't be more than 97 or 100,000.
We have a second on that? Discussion?
Second for discussion.
discussion?
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
You threw out numbers and we all know that's not my strong suit. What were you estimating that the fund balance will be at?
Between 700,000 and 800,000 this year.
And that's with funding everything that the voters said.
That's for this current year.
But on the warrant articles that said.
Oh, right, I believe I did.
And are there enough items that we can pre-buy?
We haven't really looked at that, to get an idea of what we would be by, so.
So we really don't know right as of yet. If there is anything we can.
In the past, has there been like an estimate of what we,
No,
Or-
we don't typically pre-buy, it's only something we've done the last year or so. Last year we did an extensive amount because of the New Hampshire retirement issue. It was well over the 97,000 last year.
so last year we fund balanced,
We purchased a lot.
pre-purchased, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
quite a bit of.
I hate to throw a number out, but, yeah, it was definitely more than
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
If I could just say to my motion, I'm not happy with spending any of that fund balance in principle. But like I said before, I just think for this one time, because I don't think we can have a fund balance in the coming years. I think for this one time, it's a small amount comparatively speaking, and I think that's why, I made the motion. In principle, you're right, I'm not happy with that, but to balance this budget, we definitely need a balanced budget. I would do this well over, laying off or non-renewing certain, staff, so.
I can tell you from recent history, and I'll say my history with the board, recent history, we've committed that we would not spend fund balance that was less than $1 million. Now, I'm not really looking for an angle here, but I will say that was based on the proposed budget as well, and the budget did get cut. So, like you, I'm hesitant because of that commitment that we've made over the years, but also things have changed as well. Just so that we are going to have public.
All right, that's not public input, I just, Ms. Lassard, I didn't hear, was an indication that 700 to 800,000 was minus the warrants, funding the warrants? I didn't hear it, that's what I just.
Can you clarify that?
Yes, it was taking the warrant articles out.
So the fund,
Okay. Any more discussion? So we have a motion to, and it's not verbatim, Mike, but I just want to get that, if I misstated it, please, it's to approve the rec.
I have another question.
Well, yeah, please. I mean, this is really kind of a mini workshop I have in here, so please.
If we have a fund balance of $700,000, and this is a bottom line budget, why can't we fund the Director of Language Arts out of the fund balance?
We can't do salaries and benefits out of fund balance.
Well, we can't say we're gonna $210,000 fund balance spending so that you have $110,000 to play with to fund the position? Like if we say, I'm just asking.
That's not you could do something like that if you wanted to, yes. We could not do 110,000 and use that to pay salaries for
But you
somebody.
could- but you
we
could
could
up
use
the-
it to buy other things
to
free up
do
money.
additional.
But my motion would